So with this retarded contraption, I'm going to go over like one of the most important strengths in movement. Pretty much all movement, it's super overlooked. So if you're ever doing anything, like your ability to accomplish it is dependent on your ability to hold on to the idea that you have of yourself and hold on to the idea of what you're doing. So that could be anything from a squat to a flip or whatever. You come up with the idea of what you're doing, and your sense of body, like your mental image of yourself, is up here in the head, in the mind. And so what your muscles are actually doing is they're part of the kinetic chain that's connecting your physical body to that idea. And so ultimately, like, your muscles are a big part of that, but the muscles start to tie into the neural impulses, the electricity, and they do that via the nerves and the water in the body. And so those things are like part of the kinetic chain is more properly thought of that, right? So it's the idea that you have formed of your body and of the desire, the goal that you want to do. And so that is in the head, that's the mind. So your ability, your physical ability, like if you're gonna work on this skill and work on the muscular part of that kinetic chain, the activity of your muscles is grabbing onto the brain, like literally physically the brain, like in terms of like, what am I gonna grab to hold on to my ideas better? You're going to grab your brain. And then the brain is pretty strongly connected to the idea you have of yourself. So if you're moving your head around, you're moving the idea of yourself around as well. So you can, this connected to one of those dopamine bands. So that gives me like, I don't know, like, you know, just more play, 8 feet more play to kind of run around. And as I run around, my point of resistance is going into my head. And so that lets me drill grabbing my head. And you'll notice that if you develop this a lot, like when you have the idea of, say, doing a butterfly kick or the idea of doing a cartwheel or whatever, after you develop this skill, you grab onto your head, and people see that as neck strength. So people that are very like acrobatically intelligent, or people that are difficult to knock out or move, it's very powerful neck. What's the neck doing? It's holding onto the head. So it's very difficult to divorce their body from the idea that they have of what they're doing. And people just see that as neck strength. So this is kind of like a neck exercise, but ultimately it's like the whole body is learning to traction into and pull on that idea and stay with it. So this contraption makes that subtle skill of holding on to the idea of yourself way more obvious by putting the focus of resistance into the head itself. That gets you very close to kind of what I'm talking about, to where you can just quickly, easily step into pulling on the idea. This gets you like 90% of the way there. But obviously it's retarded, so you wouldn't use it in real life. It's just a drill. And so you'll notice, like, if you do that in a focused manner, when you're doing it in a focused manner, you're doing like what I was talking about. Focus is what I was talking about. And you'll find that you can, when you're doing it, you'll fall off of that focus. And when that happens, you're just doing you're doing an exercise. Like, oh, there's my back, or there's my whatever. But then when you're focused, you'll find that your exertion is pulling on that perfect idea of like what you see to be happening, and your interaction and engagement with that via your muscular effort is, you know, kind of one-to-one. And that's entry into like the waters of being. And so there's a lot of different ways to dive into that, but then once you're in it, it's flow state. It's just kind of swimming. It's very intuitive movement. And so people have that figured out or not. So there's no like that's kind of it. That's all there is to figure out. And no, like, there's not really any way to get any better or worse. In that there's no tremendously powerful hacks or technologies outside of that, but within it you can develop a skill tree, and it's I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's yeah, anyway, so it's pretty cool. And so today's video is brought to you by my mother, a very amazing, sweet woman who I love dearly, and she's out here visiting, and she's watching my son. And so I'm also, because of all this esoteric understanding that I have, I'm capable of sensing the shared consciousness around everybody. And so the inspiration of these videos is literally coming from the wisdom of her heart. You know, I couldn't have done this without her. You know, and that's kind of like how, it's almost how I understand the Divine Mother. It's like the waves of the ocean. And all of humanity is our surfers. So it's everything that we accomplish is like pushed by that Divine Mother. And kind of the source of the movement, to the inspiration of it would be the air, you know, the sky, the logos, big sky daddy. Yeah? Okay. Yeah. So if anybody wanted to make some cash, like a little helmet with like a thing that way and then a thing that way. Yeah. That would let it gimbal in all three directions or whatever. Tight chin strap. And then you can do this stuff and just rapidly repair you know, nearly the entirety of the mind body connection with minimal coaching. It's a simple principle. What's up? Sup, Mom? How you doing? Videotape the swing? Yeah?